Hello everyone, welcome back. In our last section, we discussed about the basic concepts in Excel. We learned about the components of a workbook, spreadsheet, and some of the basic operations in Excel. Well, in this lesson, I intend to discuss data analysis and data science in Excel, focusing on data cleaning. Now, the reason I chose data cleaning is because it is one of the top basic processes in data analysis and data science. So to start with, let us discuss what is data analysis. Well, data analysis is a process of inspecting, cleaning, transforming, and modeling data to discover useful information, draw conclusions, and support decision making. So, for instance, if you look at this data, so you do notice some inconsistencies in the data, like we have a gap over here, we have a missing value over here, we have a missing value over here. Also, you have another missing value. If again you inspect this data to get some insights from it, you will notice few things that need to be done to the data for the data to make sense. So that process of you inspecting the data, adding some values or transforming the data, cleaning the data, and drawing useful information from the data, that process is called data analysis. So basically, data analysis is that whole process, that whole procedure of you taking your time to observe the data, notice if there are inconsistency, notice if there's something wrong with the data, and if there is something wrong with the data, you clean the data, you make the data to be more useful, you transform the data, and then you can go ahead to model or to analyze the data in a sense that you intend to draw useful information from the data towards making data-driven decisions. So that is basically data analysis. Well, in sum, data analysis involves using various techniques and tools to analyze a data set, purposely to identify trends, to identify patterns, to get insights that can guide your business strategies or your research or whatever you want or intend to do with the data. So we are going to use this data to discuss the whole process of data analysis, but our focus will be on data cleaning. So, well, normally there's usually a more or less scientific process that is involved in the process of data science and analysis. Now, some of these processes, they can be intertwined, so you don't have like to follow, there is no like a specific order you're supposed to do, and depending on your data, you can find yourself going back to one of the processes or mixing the processes all together. Now, so basically, the whole process of data analysis and data science follows the following steps. So firstly, you start with defining your goals. So this involves defining your objectives, understanding what problem you are trying to solve. So it is basically an inquisitive process whereby you identify the problem and probable solution to it. Now, towards getting your solution, you'll have to collect relevant, credible, and reliable data. So the process that follows after you have identified the objective is data collection. Now, data collection is another process which can be discussed in depth, because you have to understand the type of data that you need, the tools you need to collect the data, and all that. So we are not going to delve into that today, but you are supposed to understand that after you have defined your problem, now you collect your data. So assuming we have collected our data, and this is our sample data which we are going to use, the next step will be data cleaning. So with data cleaning, you'll be basically identifying any inaccuracies, inconsistencies, and irreliabilities in the data you have collected or the data you have been given to analyze. Now, in the process of cleaning your data, which we shall going to discuss in depth today, you are going to check if your data has missing values. Do you have duplicates? Do you have errors? Do you have spelling mistakes? Do you have characters that you know you don't need, and such? So that you're going to clean the data, you're going to kind of transform your data so that your data will be useful for your analysis. Now, what follows after data cleaning, and in this case I'll go a little bit faster because that is not our focus of discussion for today. What follows will be data exploration, whereby you are going to analyze the data. You can use statistics, you can use visualizations, and then you're going to transform the data if need be, so that you will be, if you want, you can use the relevant columns that you want, the relevant observations that you want. You can standardize the data and all that. Now, after transforming the data, if you are doing data science, if you want to model, if you want to come up with a model, the next step will be data modeling, whereby you are going to use statistical learning methods. Could be regression, could be clustering, could be neural networks, could be natural language processing, for you to come up with the model for either predicting or classifying your data points depending on the objective of your problem statement. Now, after you've done that, it is really imperative to interpret your results. So how do you do your interpretations? You help your target audience to analyze your analysis and your model so that they can be able to draw conclusions from them. So the best way to do that is to do a data storytelling. So data storytelling is the process of communicating your findings, communicating your interpretations to the relevant parties, bodies, or authorities towards solving the problem identified. So basically, those are the processes that you can use to solve, or not to solve, but those are basically the processes involved in data analysis and also data science. So in summary, the fundamental steps of data analysis is for you to understand the problem, collect your data, clean your data, then analyze your data if the purpose is data analysis. If the purpose is modeling, you can go ahead to model, and after whatever you've done with the data, be it analysis or modeling, communicate your data using visualizations, tell the story, make the whole analysis and modeling process interactive and useful to your targeted audience. So having said that, let us start on today's focus, which is data cleaning. So data cleaning is a very important concept and process because it enhances accurate data analysis, accurate modeling, and facilitates accurate, reliable, credible decision making. Now, some of the common issues that can be identified in a data set are missing values, duplicates, inconsistencies, scaling, that is you might need to standardize your data or to normalize your data for effective modeling and analysis. It might also be required to remove some irrelevant characters or checking for spelling mistakes. So Excel is one of the tools that you can use to clean your data without involving so much programming. Now, the reason why I'm saying so, it's because we have other methods or other tools that you can use to analyze your data, model your data, and also clean your data. You can use Python. You can use tools like pandas, the visual codes. So basically we have a number of tools that you can use to clean your data, but in this case we are using Excel. We are using Excel because it is an interactive spreadsheet. It contains inbuilt functions and it makes it easy to clean your data. So getting back to data cleaning, and I'll be fast about this one so that we can dive into the practical process of cleaning our data. So data cleaning is the process of making data to be good. That is, you identify a bad data and then you clean the data to make that data useful. So what is a bad data? Bad data is a data that is inconsistent, it is outdated, it is irrelevant. You cannot trust the data, it is incorrect. Now, some of the things that make a data to be a bad data is having a data that is incomplete. Some values are missing, some records have not been entered. Now, the data is inconsistent, the format is incorrect. You understand? A data is outdated, it is no longer relevant, or it is correct, it is irrelevant. We have duplicates, we have so many observations that have been repeated, which might bring about biases when interpreting or analyzing the data. So another thing about bad data is the data has spelling mistakes, formatting irregularities, and it is basically a poor data. So how do you start with identifying a bad data? So when analyzing, when inspecting your data, you should take your time to go through the whole data set. Check if there are missing data. Check if there are inconsistency in how the data has been formatted. Check if you have outliers. Check if you have duplicates. So basically check for any incompleteness, irrelevance, and inconsistency in the data. You can also check for grammar mistake. You can also check for the references validation, source validation, and all that. So depending with the data, these are some of the things that you might want to look into to confirm that basically you are working with a good data and not a bad data. So having said that, let us use the sample data that I have for you today to do some data cleaning and understand the whole process of data cleaning using Excel. But remember, there's much to be done, or there's much that can be done when you're cleaning your data. Well, let us look at this data and start to clean this data. So first of all, let us inspect this data towards cleaning it. Now, another point to remember is that data cleaning can be really time consuming. According to research, most data scientists and data analysts spend at least 75% of their time cleaning the data. Now, in our case, we are going to use this small data sample, but in reality, you can also be working with a large data set, but the process is basically the same. So for the purposes of explanations and conveniences, because of time, let us use this small sample data. So let us start by inspecting our data. What are some of the common things that you are noticing and are very peculiar in our data? Now, if you inspect the age column, or rather the name column, we have a missing entry over here. The name of our employee ID and weight is missing. We also have a missing age in regards to gender observation. We have a missing salary over here, and we have a missing joining date. So we have missing values. Now, another thing that you can easily notice is that there's some entries that have been repeated. So we have duplicates. For instance, we have this row of John Smith is repeated because we have another entry with John Smith whereby the data appears to be the same. So with a duplicate, all the entries will appear to be the same. That is when you are going to realize that you have a duplicate. Now let us see if we have another duplicate. Yes, we have. John Mike has been entered twice because the entries are basically the same. Now, another thing that you can also notice is the formatting. Now, notice the formatting of the emails. We have some with at example.com, we have some at domain.com. That is something that you may want to look into. Now, again, you might want to check if we have some outliers or errors in the date. That is, you can also check if the range of the range of the ages of the employees are consistent or not, or if you have errors. Now, again, the formatting. So I want to deliberately alter this data so that we have inconsistencies with the formatting. So let me change this Smith. I want to change this Brown. Let me also change this Sarah to small caps. And then let me change. Okay, that will do for now. So that if you notice, we have some inconsistencies in the how the names have been formatted. Some are capitalized, others are not. So again, this is something that you may want to check in your data and clean the data. Now again, I want to change the formatting of this date so that we can do some cleaning in some cleaning in formatting of the date. So let me select these three entries, change the date to long format. Now, so that in this case we have a bad data in the sense that at the joining date we have a gap and the format is also incorrect. Now, having identified those few inconsistencies, errors, and incompleteness in the data, let us do some data cleaning so that we can practice on some of a few things or some of the common things you are required to do when you're performing data cleaning. So again, be reminded that this is a small sample. You can be required to work with a big data set, and this doesn't mean that all the data will be having bad data, or rather it's also a fallacy to assume that all the data will be good data. It will take you as an analyst, as a scientist, to inspect the data, visually inspect the data, or use statistical tools to inspect the data and clean the data. Well, let us start our data cleaning process. So to start with, we have identified that we have missing gaps, or we have missing values in our data. So I'd like to mark them so that you'll notice what happens when we are filling in the data. So let me mark them with this color. Also mark this one with this color. Is there any place we have a missing? Okay, yeah, let us have them with this color. Now, depending on the problem that you are trying to solve, it might require you to ask the source if they can provide the data, or if they can't provide the data, it will now be up to you to see if you can eliminate all the missing values altogether, or fill them with the data that is not going to create biases when you're analyzing your data. Now, this requires logic and intuition, but it is highly recommended that whenever you have a missing data, try to check with the owner of the data, trying to check with the company or the person that you're handling the data on behalf. So in this case, I could have contacted the company and asked them if they could provide me with the age of Jane Doe, or the name of employee ID 108, or the salary of Ann Lee, or the joining date. If they can't provide me with the data, now it is upon me to assess, is it okay if I delete these entries that the entries with missing values, and what will be the effect of me doing away with those entries? Will they impact my analysis, and to what percentage? If they're going to impact my analysis, now it is upon me to replace the missing values with something that is going to make sense and not interfere with my analysis. Now, in this case, I want to fill these missing values with not provided. So what you're going to with not provided statement. Now, in this case, what you're going to do, you are going to go into your home tab. So just select one of the cell, go into your home tab. Now, at your far right, you're going to see a find and selection. Click on it, go to find. There's going to be an office dialog box presented to you, displayed to you. Click on replace, find out. So what do you want to find? In this case, I want to find blanks, so there's nothing that I'm going to enter here. So it will be upon you to check the value that you want to find and replace with. So in this case, my data basically has blanks. I'll leave it at that. And then I want to replace these blanks with not available. That is, the data is not available. so that when I'm doing my analysis, I will know some of the sections are not, they are blank because they are not available or not provided. So let me enter not available, then click on replace. Now notice what it has done. We have all done. We made 3 replacement. Why 3 replacement? Because we have a section here, section here, and section here that the data was blank. Now notice what happened to the name with employee ID 108. It has not been replaced because we have a hyphen. So in this case, assuming that I contacted my employer, I contacted the owner of the data, I contacted the party that I was working with and asked them to provide me with the name of the employee ID 108, and they did. I will basically go to find and select find, then go to replace. I want to find that one, then replace with a name, say Christine. So replace, done. Okay, we having Christine. Let me say Christine. Okay, not done. Let me do this again. So let me do this again. Go to find and select find, then replace, overwrite this one, replace, done. So now all our missing values have been replaced. We are good to go. So well, another thing I want to do is to remove inconsistency, and I like to start with the date format so that we have a format that is uniform to all the dates. So in this case, I'll go and click on the column joining date, go to this section where we can format the data. Then what do I want to change? I want to change my dates. So under here we have 2 options, short date or long date. You can convert your data into short dates, or you can format your data into long dates. Now in this case, I like to work with short dates. That is it. Now again, look at the section name. We have some inconsistency in the data, so let us make all this data to be uniform in formatting. So to format our names, you have the option of making these names to be all capitalized, all in small letters, or all in basically upper letters. So in Excel we have 3 functions. So the first function in build is upper. You can see upper. So this upper converts all the small letters into uppercase. Now you also have lower. Where is it? We also have lower. This one will convert all your names into lowercase. And then we have proper, which is going to capitalize your names. So basically now it will depend on you with how you want to format your your data. Now in this case, I want to make all my names to be in capital letters. So what you do for you to perform the operation, you will add a column, So click on a cell, then click on insert. What I want to insert? An entire row. So I have a row next to this the column I want to format. Now click on the first cell, enter equal sign, because if you want to enter any equation or formula, remember you have to start with an equal sign. Then what do you want to do? I want to change all of them into uppercase, so I will use upper. Now what is the text that I want to change? The text is basically the name, and I'll start with John Smith. Now close the bracket, click enter. Now notice what has happened. John Smith has been converted into an uppercase. So Excel has a way of filling all these blanks in respect to the given criteria. So in this case, I'll click on this corner, then drag it to the last cell, and I'm going to have all my names converted into uppercase. Now that I have names in uppercase and names that are formatted, it is imperative to remove this the original column. But you can't remove the original column, because once you delete the column, assuming I delete the column, so assuming I delete my column by clicking then click delete, notice what happens to my formatted names. They're giving me an error of ref because the reference cell has been deleted. So let me click undo and show you how you're going to do that. Now in this case, it is wise that you create another column, insert entire column. Then now you can copy your column into this one, then have them as values, so that you're going to have the names. If you copy just like that, notice what happens. It gives you the employee ID and not the names. Now that we have the names, use the values section, and once you have them, now you can click you can delete the original column, and you can also delete this one that is giving you errors, and now you have your names in uppercase. Uppercase. Okay, right. Now another thing we noticed in our data is that it has duplicates. So let me highlight the duplicates. One of them was who John Smith. So go to home, let me give it blue color. I'm highlighting it and giving it a different color so that you notice what happens when we will do away with the duplicates. So another duplicate was Mike Johnson. We have a Mike Johnson, and we have a John Smith. Now in real essence, you don't have to do this. I'm doing this basically so that you can understand how Excel removes duplicates. So if you want to remove a duplicate, just click on a cell, go to the data tab, then under the data tab you are going to see these data tools. One of these important tools is removing duplicates. So just click on it, and once you click on it, this office dialog box will be displayed. And now you have to select the criteria upon which you want to remove the duplicates. So in this case, my data has headers, employee names, age, department. So I'll want to check on this. My data has headers, so that I have my criteria of selecting the columns being displayed, because if I unclick my headers, I'll basically have columns A, B, and C, which make it difficult to work with the data. So I'll click my header now. What do I want to use to remove my duplicates? So notice John Smith, the column John Smith has different column IDs. Mike and Johnson have different column ID. So this different column ID won't work because they are different, but the names are the same, the age are the same, the department are the same, the salary are the same, apart from Mike Johnson, whose joining date is different. So I'll also want to remove the joining date. Then I click OK. If I click OK, now Excel uses the criteria or the columns that I have selected to remove the duplicates. So in this case, the other two columns have been deleted, and I remain now with my unique values. Okay, that is how you remove duplicates in your data using Excel. So let me quickly remove these colors I did highlight, and then we proceed. Okay, now you're good to go. Now notice how our spreadsheet is. So if I want to make this spreadsheet to be in tabular form, I'll again have to format it. So I want to make my table more visually appealing. So what I'll do, I'll select my data, go to insert table, that is my range. Then I have my data as I want it. I can also add borders to everything. So I'll go to home, check this border section, add all borders. Then I can make all this data to be center aligned. Now you can see my data is more visually appealing. Now let us proceed with the data cleaning process. So like we said, we have some inconsistencies in the email. You can confirm with the source of the data whether they should be like so or they need to be fixed. Now in this case, I am assuming that the emails are correct, but this is something again that you may want to check and confirm if everything is okay. So we also talked about validating data when you're cleaning your data and entering your data. Now let us use this column age to do a data validation. So in this case, we want to, I'm assuming that I asked about the age of Jane Doe and I was given. So if I want to restrict my data to numericals and improve accuracies in data entry, I'll basically come, click on this column, go to the tab section, click on data validation. So I want to validate my data. Now in this case, what is my data? My data is in numericals. So I will select that I want to enter my data as whole number because I'm dealing with age. So remember, age is a discrete type of data, discrete quantitative data. So I want my data to be between age, so let me say probably 18 to age 50 to deal with outliers and inconsistencies when entering the edge. Now I want to provide a message to whoever is going to enter the data. So I'll put input message as a warning message. So I'm doing a edge entry, edge entry. So message is enter only numericals. Then let me provide an error alert. So stop, you can have stop, you can provide a warning, you can provide information. So I want to stop when a different data has been entered. So title is edge entry. Error is enter only numericals. Then okay. Now notice what happens here. Notice the display. I'm having not available. Not available is not a quantitative type of data, but rather it is categorical. So it gives me a warning that enter only numericals. Now notice what happens when I enter the age like 67. Enter 67. See, enter only numericals, because again remember the range was like 40. So let me do away with that. Enter 35. So we are good to go, but this is just serves but a reminder that this section should have numericals only. So hope you are good with that. So basically we dealt with the data cleaning, and remember there's much that can be done with the data cleaning. Herein we dealt with some of the basic things, or some of the basic things that you might want to do or you'll be expected to do in data cleaning. But this doesn't limit you to go ahead and doing further data cleaning or making a bad data looks good. So remember, the whole idea is to make your data useful, make your data reliable, so that you can do an accurate analysis or modeling. So some other things that you may want to do with your data is probably general formatting, which can be found in the home tab. You can change the fonts, you can change the size, you can change the colors, you can increase font over here, decrease font, you can make them italics, you can make them bold, you can underline them. So depending on your needs.